Welcome, everyone. We are here today as Mind Power Meets Mystic. I am Michelle Walters, and I am joined today by my podcast pal, Cinthia Varkevisser. Today, we have the honor of speaking to Dr. Amba Dryg-Tobin. Her daughter was kidnapped in 2014, and her father was diagnosed with dementia. It was taking care of the PTSD of her daughter and caring for her father that brought Dr. Amba to start self-care retreats. Dr. Amba has studied with Wim Hiff, Dr. Jerry Allen Johnson, and a great many teachers at SFSU, Actum, ACCHS, and also taught at Acticum during a very challenging time.
ACTCM.
ACTCM, gotcha. Her Dr. Amba is a speaker, an author, an intuitive, a clairvoyant doctor, medical Qigong therapy. And we will learn all about what medical Qigong is, and we will also learn about Dr. Amba's retreats, which are international and cool.
He says it's medical Qigong.
Medical Qigong. Get it right. Get it right, Michelle. Dr. Amba is joined today by her grandson, who is making a special first baby appearance on Mind Power Meets Mystic.
He's like Greta Garbo. No pictures.
You know what? I actually love that we have a baby on, because as we're all moms, we really do understand that being a mom and having family, it weaves into every aspect of our life. So it just feels really natural that we've got baby on board as well. So Dr. Amba, how are you feeling about telling us about medical Qigong therapy? Because as a martial artist, I find that the most fascinating of all the things that you do.
Well, it's the oldest modality of Chinese medicine. It came before acupuncture. It's the foundation of acupuncture, using the 5 elements or 5 phases, which they really are. And it gives prescription meditations, not medication. So I'll have a client go home and do a breathing exercise focusing on a specific organ and an organ system and the element that relates to it. For example, the easiest thing for high blood pressure is the HAAA sound, like ah, over and over again until it lowers your blood pressure. And I don't tell clients to go off their medication. I say go to your doctor and talk to them about going off your medication. And that's probably the quickest and best success ever. That, and actually brain cancer has a really good protocol and the homework. So I give people empowerment of, here, this is how you can take care of your body and your health, as well as your mental health, as well as manifestation, with all these tools that are 3,000 to 5,000 years old. I do remote medical Qigong, and even with groups or in person. And there's a general session protocol that is for anybody, that causes relaxation. It causes, everyone has a different experience, a bit of tingling or cold or hot, or, sometimes long distance people will say, oh, my leg shook, or a certain limb shook. And it also tells me diagnostically in a traditional Chinese medicine way, like, oh, left side is more mother, need for approval, right side is more need for control, father stuff, center of the body is more need for security, different things, little different things, very similar to acupuncture. If you go to an acupuncturist, how they ask you a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions. However, a lot of the knowing comes from doing the actual work on a client. And I always say it's free will of the client as well as divine will. I can't go right in and go, oh, I see what needs to be taken care of. I'm going to just heal this person. If I do that, we call that kind of a gray magic. It's like this work is magic. It's somewhere between science and mysticism, where actually a long time ago they were not separate. They were the same. And yeah, just really have to step out of the clinical room. The ego has to step out, and it has to be, okay, I've learned these protocols. I've learned what I have to do when a client comes in. The same person with like lung cancer with another person would have a different protocol, would have different homework, meditations and exercises and journaling and forgiveness work, because everybody's different. Their stories are different. We were trained. Also, I studied acupuncture, like I was saying, at ACTCM, the American College of Traditional Chinese Medicine, as well as in Oakland, the ACCH. The main thing is that everybody is unique. It's not like in Western medicine, oh, you have this, we give you this, or we send you for radiation or chemo or uh, surgery, which, by the way, my understanding is Western doctors have to give you the options or suggest all three of those, or they could be sued for malpractice, even though your type of cancer might not do well with chemo or might not do well with radiation. So that's something to do research if you ever have the gift to grow and evolve of cancer. And that is my trademark. Every challenge is a gift to grow and evolve. It's about a spiritual journey as well as personal development with all the clients, with what I believe is we can have world peace from inner peace. And that's part of the reason I do the self-care retreats, is to have other people, hopefully you, Michelle, come to teach with me, because what I teach may not resonate with everyone. And I always get wonderful speakers and teachers because maybe they need what that person offers. And that's a big part of medical Qigong, is this non-duality around I am you, you are me. If you succeed, we
Yeah.
all succeed. And it's, you know, been a blessing for my own journey to do the medical Qigong. Um, Definitely, you ever hear about the preacher's kids, like how they are like, if they're working on their spiritual path, their kids sometimes go astray. And this little guy is actually the third child of that daughter I was talking about, who did have was kidnapped at 14 and had even trauma when she was 8. So I'm really grateful. She did a lot of art therapy. She did medical Qigong with my teacher, actually, Dr. Jerry Ellen Johnson, and Wim Hof. That was, you said Wim Hif. Wim Hof.
Sorry.
He studied, or he taught Tumo when I knew him too, and now he calls it the Wim Hof method. So sorry for that. I'm trying to talk before he starts crying.
How did you come to be in this line of work? Like, how you have quite the story, but like,
Oh,
how did it all turn into Chinese medicine and Qigong?
well, I started actually as a jazz singer in Europe, from 18 to 27, and met different healers in Glastonbury. I was there at the Harmonic Convergence in the 80s, and that was just a seed. I had definitely my first experience with angels was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. And as I got older, you just didn't talk about that. But when you were when I was in Glastonbury, it was like, oh, you too, or oh, yeah, you see, or you hear, or you have a knowing, more than um, one person was intuitive or clairvoyant, or, you know, one of the clairs. um, but the thing I did then was, when I came back to the United States, I studied child development, psychology, and got into Chinese medicine through one of my classes at the San Francisco University's Holistic Health Institute, that um, Dr. Cinthia Chang, who is an acupuncturist who taught holistic health perspectives from Chinese medicine, she had a documentary about medical Qigong. And I said immediately, that's what I'm supposed to do. And I did Qigong training, and just general health. That's where I did the Wim Hof stuff, was through that Supreme Science Qigong Foundation. And that's a really great place to start if people want to learn how Qi feels and do Qigong. They also did a great program on sacred geometry and food-based healing. So I work with different smoothie recipes with my clients as well. um, where was I going? Oh, and then my professor, Dr. Jerry Allen Johnson, was a keynote speaker in Oakland at a Taoist gathering. And my friend and I, who both did the Qigong training, David Beaudry, when he was saying, I'm coming out, Dr. Johnson said, I'm coming out of retirement to teach my daughter a doctoral program of medical Qigong. David and I looked at each other And then we went and talked to him, and there was like 13 spots out of 100 left. And out of those 100, only 54 got through this program because it was intense. We, a lot of Christian people. I consider myself Lutheran Christian, but also Taoist and also Hindu and also Buddhist because I've studied them, and anything compassion and love based. Um, However, the Christians that were very, Christian only, dropped out when we started, talking about exorcism. We started talking about, looking at people's, um, lives as having these things where I don't want to maybe go into it too much, but these parasites that are not of this world. Talking about going into bars, like drunk people around you, then the people who are a little bit spiritual are live bait. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about that too much. I don't know what your listeners, um, they might have checked out now what I just said.
Oh no, I
So
think they're
yeah.
more tuned in.
Oh, good.
So many listeners are empaths,
Oh,
and they're very
great.
proud empaths, which is
Hmm.
that's not a bad thing, but there are so many drawbacks to being empathic without
Yeah,
knowing how
we
to
teach.
protect yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we teach. I mean, I do a course around energetic protection, which, by the way, one of my Enigma Buddhist teachers, Lama Lar, um, I was studying with not Kenny, Kelly. I'm blanking on his name, but he's a regular student. We graduated together, Kelly Ryan, and he's been studying with Lama Lar in Taos, New Mexico. And he's like, you don't really need protection because everything, and this is a Louise Hay affirmation, only good lies before me, which is also part of my every challenge is a gift to grow and evolve, which is really from Romans 8:28, which is all things all things now I'm blanking, all things work together for good to those who love God. Like there's really no protection we need because everything that comes to us is for us to grow and evolve, or it wouldn't come to us, it wouldn't be in our path. However, as we were taught, there's all these little protection things you can do, definitely for empaths who like listen to friends and then they're like taking on their energy of
Mhm.
whoa, just that Donna Eden talks about the energy zip up to the bottom lip. My kids always taught them the white protective light, like little bubble around you. And then I like to say, oh, that was a good burp. Uh, I like to say, oh, that was a good burp. No, I like to say, um, like when I go in a dark alley or I'm hiking and I feel the energy of like a mountain lion or whatever, I say, I am guided and guarded and protected by my highest good at all times. As I say it, so it is. Actually, Mahasuvana, a teacher of mine, gave me that a long time ago. And I do, if I feel the energy of, something threatening, I say, I am guided and guarded and protected by my highest good at all times. And that as well as a lot of the tools I do for manifestation when I do a little manifestation program. Um, yeah, there's little rituals we do, and they can be used for anything. Definitely when I have friends or teachers or clients, I'm sorry, beloveds going through any surgery or whatever, we do these same manifestation rituals around healing quickly, around the doctors being very skilled, very calm and happy when they go and make a cut. Because every time you cut someone, you have your energy going into that cut. So, and whoever's in that room. So, I'll give them some lavender to take with them. That's also protective. Amethyst is very protective, which my teacher also teaches, and I highly recommend people to look at his website, which is Qigong, Qigong.com. He has a bookstore. He has all these great books on plant and mineral magic about how to cleanse them, how to charge them so that you can use them either spiritually, medically, or for your own spiritual practice as well. He's
Very
like,
cool. Very
he's
cool.
mind blowing.
I want to remind all of our listeners that they are listening to Mind Power Meets Mystic with me, Michelle Walters, and my podcast co-host, Cinthia Varkevisser. Today, we are speaking to Dr. Amba Dryg-Tobin, who is many, many things, talking about many of her adventures and teachers and philosophy. Dr. Amba, Why don't you tell us a story of a client that you have helped with some fashion of your skills along the way so that we can get a better picture of kind of what was the situation and what was your prescription and how it all turned out?
Um, let's see. Like I would say like so cancer, diabetes, strokes, um, PTSD, trying to think of what's a good story. Um, I had this one lady in Santa Cruz who was in a really debilitating car accident. She was on her spiritual path. It really helps to have people who I work with who have already a spiritual path, who already have a meditation practice. So when I give them homework, they're like on it. What I do works for like 3 days really strong, and then it's up to my clients to keep doing the work on their own to, really integrate it. Uh, and I do 3 sessions to 48 sessions, so depending on what's going on with someone. Um, but she was long distance. I actually never met her. She was referred by someone. And yeah, it was, I think, a course of 1 month. So she was having migraines like constantly for like 2 years. She'd go to Western doctors to get some relief, and chiropractors and everything. And she didn't get much relief. And it was pretty much debilitating headaches. Yes, it was. And she said that I can't remember. She's actually on my website for her testimonial, but it was, I want to say it was under 2 months that she was like completely no headaches or very rarely. And she wouldn't be able to leave or go anywhere for very long before she had to go home or get in the car and just chill. And then with me, I would give her the like some exercises to do. Her big thing was, this car accident had really kind of restructured her brain. And this is the unique thing about medical Qigong. Like people who have back issues, osteoporosis, um, these meditations help create bone density. These create discs where there were no disc, or a very worn disc. Probably that's the most, other than helping kill cancer or shrink it and dissolve it, just pull the roots from it, which is usually emotional roots. Is that you can change the physical chemistry using your brain, using intention. And I say the 4 keys are intention, attention, imagination, sensation, whatever the meditation you're doing. And even before we go into a session, saying, this is our intention. We're doing this. We're taking away the headache, or we're shrinking the cancer, or we're looking at these emotional challenges that you've had. And, really working on forgiveness, working on self-love. Because all the journaling I give to clients, if they say, oh, well, my kids, it's so stressful with my kids, they don't listen to anything, and I'm like, why is that important? Oh, like, why don't I get like this relationship to work? And and I'm like, well, why is that important? So the questions of journaling is always, why is that important? Get the answer. And why is that important? And you just go and go and go. But the end of it is, because I don't love myself, or because I'm growing the self love. And that's the root. Self love is the root of every disease, disorder, disharmony on the planet. We're teaching people, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, if yourself is self loathing, what energy are you getting out to the world? So, yeah, all the journaling comes down to forgiveness and the, self love portion of who we are, and honoring the uncomfortable emotions, because that's part of us. A lot of people are like, feel good, manifest from that place. Well, first you have to honor that sacred part of your uncomfortable emotions. And we like ask for a blessing, make a vortex, and the energy goes into the earth to be recycled and transmuted, so that it's like fertilizer for your growth. But that's us honoring those negative or uncomfortable emotions. Like that sound is actually pulling out anxiety, nervousness, expectations not met, and sometimes depression or despair, depending on the person. And I
Well, you
hope
know
that
what?
answered your question.
That is a perfect segue to talk about your self-love retreats. Don't you think?
Yes.
So
Why,
let's talk a
yes.
little bit about yourself. And yeah, so let's go ahead and pull it back and talk about your self-love retreats. And where are they? Who, who goes? And what do people get out of it?
Well, the retreat started, when my dad had dementia and I didn't get any self-care. First one was in Dillon Beach in 2020, 3 days before shelter in place. And that was not hybrid because then we had COVID. And I had clients who were virtual and they were older and they didn't have funds to maybe travel places. I made all the retreats hybrid. And so we always have speakers who speak virtually. The next one we're going to be in is Mexico, and all of them are Dr. Amba's self care for self love retreats. But then there's a subtitle, or a thing we're focusing on. So in Mexico, we'll be in March. We'll be in Laredo, Baja California. But the focus is all about cutting cords, about ending soul contracts around any toxic people in our life or past life, and snorkeling. It's the most beautiful marine life there. And the one in May is in Bodega Bay, where we are close to you, Michelle. And that is focused on financial abundance, self-worth. A lot of people in their own business or in relationships aren't asking for their needs to be met or aren't asking for enough money. So we have different speakers and mindset people and healing artists speaking at all of the retreats. I'll have other people come and collaborate. And we do breakout rooms, or if we're in person, the people break out in person, but always do it online so people have time to get to know each other and have a community. And then south of France is in September. And that's also going to have a pre-retreat summit. So that's all virtual. And then in person, we have some hybrid parts. But the nice thing is I have a private Facebook group that anybody who attended even one retreat, they can see all the past retreats or the future retreats Facebook Lives. So we're, wherever we are, we're in the mountains of Switzerland, I have Facebook Lives, or we're in south of France, or we're in Mexico, I'll have Facebook Lives of the excursions, because I went on retreats in my life that we stay on a resort area and never go see that town. I was actually at a retreat in Napa. We didn't go to a winery. I'm like, we're in Napa, you know? So probably almost half of it, our retreats are going to explore nature or what's going on in that area. In south of France, it's Saint-Genès, in the Alps there, the foothills of the Alps, and then Nice. So we'll be in two different areas. Usually when we're in Europe, we do two different areas. So yeah, that's
Sounds
kind of it. And the
sounds
one,
fantastic, Dr.
yeah,
Amba.
and it's
Uh,
all women. So it's a little
Very,
bit
very
easier.
nice. Well, we've come to the end of our time on Mind Power Meets Mystic. Thank you so much for joining
Yes.
us today.
I waited to turn him around till the end, so that he wasn't
Oh,
too
look at that
distracting.
face.
Hey, cutie pie.
He's ready for a nap.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Take care.